Neptune moves into Aries on January the 26th, 2026, and this will be where it will remain until 2038. So this is going to be a real long transit. And so let's take a look at what that's going to mean and how that's going to affect the overall collective of society and everybody, because it's an outer planet. It has that bigger energy to affect all. Neptune is a planet that represents the seas, obviously, because like God Neptune was the god of the seas, Poseidon, and he had the trident. So the symbol of Neptune is the trident, but it can also represent things like spirituality, meditations, reflection, our spiritual beliefs and our beliefs. It can be about illusions, the things that seem real that are not. It can be about dreams, cinematography, photography, the silver screen, that sort of grand illusion of like like dreams and fantasies and stuff like that. It can be also about water, rivers, boundaries, borders. So it can also be about where it can be a place in our life where we tend to be lacking some sort of emotional control. So it's about boundaries, healthy boundaries, setting boundaries. But it can also be about escapism. Where Neptune transits in our birth chart, it's usually an area that we're trying to sort of get away from, to escape that kind of reality. We don't want that reality. We're trying to, like it's the opposite to keeping it real. It's keeping it sort of in the fantasy world, how we want things to be. So this is going to be a very interesting time. Neptune has been in Pisces since around 2011. So it's been a long transit, and it's been that area of our life where we're trying to change, we're trying to escape, we're trying to get away from. And then this changes it all, because it then moves into the next area of our chart. So Neptune in Pisces is very much at home. It's considered to be its like modern rulership. So it's very supportive of that sign. So it's very watery, it's very flowing, it's very fluid. You know that it connects. They have things in common with the sign and the planet. But when Neptune moves into the sign of Aries, that completely changes it, because it's not supported there. It's probably, it really doesn't do great there. And when you think about water sometimes and Neptune, we think of it as, like this gentle, flowing sort of emotions. Just, it's kind of nice. But when we have to also remember that the seas can be like devastating. They can be like a road, and they can, destroy things. It's a strong force of nature. And so I think with Neptune moving into Aries, we have more of that power, more of that destruction, almost, to just like destroy. It's going to be more difficult to be able to sort of flow and escape and just get away from the problem or whatever it is that's the issue at that time. We have to consider the sign Aries in itself is very strong, it's very assertive, it's about full of energy and vibrancy and getting things done and taking action. And so with the Neptune in Aries, this is quite a it feels a little bit like rough seas, turbulence, storms. There's something to come, which is not necessarily going to be easy. And this planet's going to be there until like 2038. So we're in for a long transit that could be a little difficult, to say the least. It's definitely going to be different from Neptune in Pisces. I think there's going to be more of a sense of reality. If we want something, rather than dreaming these dreams, like I think with Neptune in Pisces, there was like a lot of big dreams and the cinemas and, like the lifestyle and all that kind of thing and what people wanted. And then I think as it moves in Aries, it's going to be like, if you want it, you got to kind of make it yourself, or do it yourself, or go get it, or take action. There is no, it's not as nice and dreamy as it was in Pisces. It's kind of like more, I want to say crude. It's kind of like more forceful, more willing. So yeah, it can be about, so because Neptune is all about spirituality and stuff like that. So when it's in Aries, this is going to be more about the spiritual warrior. But there's a chance that it could be about things like more religious extremes and the extremists like of religions. All the wars that have been created through religions. It's almost like that's going to be pinpointed. This has gone on for centuries, not just like a little bit, but like the amount of killings in the name of certain gods and religions is crazy throughout history. And so this could be pinpointed and brought up. There could be a sense of things like more men awakening. So there's been this whole awakening process. Spirituality has become really popular. It's like almost like a trend in its own. And like people are having spiritual awakenings. They're kind of waking up to it. But this could really like pinpoint more men start to awaken. Men start to lead in this area of sort of spirituality and stuff like that. There is also a sense of physical action. So I think things like Tai Chi, Qigong, yoga, things like that, where there's this physical action in spirituality and like meditations and stuff like that, is going to become more active rather than passive. It's going to be a very interesting transit, that's for sure. Furthermore, this could highlight things done by the male world religious leaders. So people like the Pope or, like other religions as well. Like there's like the Dalai Lama and other religious icons who are known worldwide, globally, who, like they've all been male, particularly up to this point. So this could bring some changes or highlight those in some matters. Then with Aries being a fire sign, it's hot, it's dry, it's fast paced. So with this being with Neptune, so the rainfall, this could alter how we have rainfall. It could bring a period of possibly, like droughts in certain places, hotter, drier weather. Already we've found that the temperature of the planet is rising, the global warming is happening. So this very hot, dry, extreme weather, but then followed by heavy rainfall. But when it hits that dry ground, it's going to cause flash flooding. And there is probably a chance that is going to increase what we have seen so far when Neptune moved into Aries for a trial period in 2025 and then retrograded back into Pisces. But during that period where in the summer particularly, where Neptune was in Aries, there was severe, very sudden flooding in like places like I think New Mexico, stuff like that. So this is something that we might have to get used to experiencing, very dry, hot summers, and then very heavy rain, which could then cause flash flooding. I mean, wise Neptune was in Pisces, we must there's been a lot of flooding across Europe and places like that, and also across I think Asia has had quite a lot of flooding, but it's been like heavy prolonged rainfall, and so that's what's caused the flooding, and it's been like long periods of rainfall, whereas this could be more sudden, more flash storms that bring, this sudden urgency to escape. So with Neptune being about escapism in Aries, this could be, like an urgency to escape. There could be actual, like real risk where you need to escape a situation. If, in the area which this will fall in your chart. So this is going to be quite an interesting period of time. And I mean, it won't all happen straight away. This is going to go on until 2038, and other planets will join it over that course of time. You know, there'll be periods of time where Mars is there. There'll be periods of time where Saturn is there. You know, so it's going to change how this interacts and how it weaves through this time. So, as we realise that Saturn, as I mentioned, Saturn is moving with Neptune. It's in conjunction already. It will be exact on the 20th of February. So just shortly after Neptune moves into Aries, Saturn will move into Aries also on the 14th of February, and then they will conjunct on the 20th. So this is then adding another aspect, another element to what we will be experiencing, particularly initially as Neptune enters Aries. This is really about dissolving and restricting and limiting in this area, with it being about Neptune. That can be about leadership and Saturn can be about governments and the structures and the leadership and the things that are governing over our everyday life. And Neptune will dissolve that. It will completely just it'll be about boundaries with these leaders and these governments and where we want to restrict them and limit them. But there'll be a sense of dissolving their power. And then there's going to be this whole sense of building a dream. So if you have a dream and there's something you want to do and how you want to change how you live, you're going to have to really work hard at it. With this Saturn here, it's going to be about working hard, real tangible steps, small steps at first, but they will build momentum, and just really working at it and going for it and taking those little steps to get to where you want to get to. So this is going to have a real impact on that. With it being in Aries, this is going to move that momentum. It's going to move it faster. It's going to happen quicker. It's going to be quite turbulent. I think we're going to see a period of time where there could even be severe protests. But this is going to be incredibly angry, turbulent, possibly violent times. Here in the UK, I don't think we've really mastered the political protests particularly well. They tend to end up in sort of a bunch of youngsters rioting and looting. So who knows? Maybe that's all possible. There's a sense of also with this that there could be it can be quite explosive with it being Aries, and Saturn is like quite militant. So obviously Trump's already threatening certain states with like military action if they don't do what he wants. So all of this is about to play out, and it's all sort of happening with the planets, and you can see how it's all sort of coming together. It is really going to be an interesting time. Obviously, once Saturn is into Aries, it moves quite quickly forward over the coming months, and so there's separation from Neptune. Neptune will remain at these the first few degrees, but Saturn will make quite a quick transit through before it gets to its retrograde later in the year. So that's going to be separating them quite quickly. Once we get through to the summer, Saturn and Neptune will be very much sort of separated from each other. But I think there's going to be quite a sudden change in religious beliefs. It's almost like something is about to happen that could suddenly make people realise something, or something happens quite suddenly. And so the spiritual awakening could happen quite suddenly for those who haven't awakened yet. But I just think there's going to be sort of physical, real action towards living a more spiritual life for many people. A calmer life, because life has become very, very stressful in, like the modern world. So I think there's something about, just trying to live a more mindful life in some ways, having that sort of tranquility, whilst you're still being active and doing the stuff that you need to do on a daily basis, but trying to do it in a more mindful way. So it's gonna have its ups and downs. It's gonna be an interesting period of, say, like 13, 14 years, and then obviously a lot will happen in that time. And then just to add to that, as Neptune has moved through to Aries, Pluto is already in Aquarius, and Uranus will be moving into Gemini in a few months' time. So then this is going to have like this whole setup between, like Pluto and Uranus will be in trying to each other. Neptune is right in the middle point between Pluto and Uranus. It brings very, very big transformation very, very quickly, very sudden. There could be deaths of religious leaders or endings of things. I mean, there was a few things I noticed last year around the eclipse season where the Church of England leader is obviously the king, and he had for the first time gone to visit Vatican City and the Pope. But also there was, I believe it was the Queen's sister, the Princess Margaret, I'm not sure. One of them passed away last year, and for the first time, a royal, in a very long time, a royal had a funeral that was, I think, she had a Roman Catholic funeral. And so there's this sense of change in the Church of England, whether that's going to merge back with the whole of Christianity, could merge back together with like the Catholics and the Christians. I don't know. There's been a lot of wars between Christians over many centuries. So whether that's going to be addressed in some way, or there could just be deaths and losses of religious leaders. So there's a sense of change in the world religions, very sudden transformation. So it's gonna bring big changes, and it's going to happen quite quickly. But I mean, I think that these will still, like Neptune, Pluto, Uranus, will still be in this sort of arrangement for a few more years, certainly until 2029. They will be sort of interacting with each other. Uranus will move a bit faster than the other two, so we'll move out of aspect from Neptune and Pluto at some point, but certainly for a couple of years, this is going to be an aspect that plays out. Thank you for listening.